Hey, you, welcome back to the channel. Brian the Divine Healer here with you. Freestyling it, right? I'm just in this I don't care mode because I've been dealing with my neighbors upstairs with all their ruckus and their noise. They're an older couple, and I've already talked to some people about this, and they just, responded to them, and then they gave this bullcrap lie a couple times about what they do, and really it's not what they do. It's how they're doing it. And they're steady at it, whether it's 6 in the morning or 2 in the morning. It don't matter, because my dog is shivering on my bed right now. She don't want to go out to pee. She don't want to eat, because these fools upstairs make so much ruckus. It sounds like a freight train running through here. That scares my dog, makes it think it's thunder and lightning. Done with that. It's just how to get it off my chest. So, let's talk freestyle. What if I told you a story that would change everything that you believe? Change everything you believe within your spirit, within your mind. Okay? Let me break this down for you. I had this revelation, okay? Sitting here doing my thing. I watch documentaries, I love this kind of stuff, right? Started watching this documentary. It had to do with religion and history, everything combined like that, okay? I was completely fascinated. This documentary is 8 hours long, okay? I think I maybe got into it maybe about almost 3 hours of it, and I couldn't take any more because my brain was gonna pop, okay? I'm gonna try to put this all in perspective for you. I took some notes, okay? So sit back, relax, grab yourself something to drink, grab your cigarette, whatever you got going on, okay? I need this right now because I'm stressed from them upstairs and the information I'm about to put out to you now, okay? So just bear with me, okay? So what if I told you that, come on now, right above me, I'm making a video over here, give me a break. What if I told you that we're all being lied to? Lied to in this to the sense of who we truly are, who we were made to be. Okay. So let me break this down. I'm gonna give you some examples. I'm gonna give you some quotes. I'm gonna give you some references, all that good stuff to help you guys understand exactly where I'm coming from. So let's do some comparisons. Let's do some hypocrisy stuff. Let's do some things that are contradictory to what is done on purpose. Okay? So I want to take the Bible. I'm not even about anything religious and trying to condescend anything that way, so don't go that way. Okay? Just hear me out. Okay. So what you're going to hear is some theory. What you're going to hear is some facts. What you're going to hear is verbatim from quotes of, like, say, the Bible, right? And I'm going to put it all in perspective for you so you guys have a better understanding of exactly what the hell's going on, okay? Because this is what? The age of Aquarius. We're in the age of enlightenment. We're supposed to better humanitarians. We're supposed to better the world. Things like that. It's the Great Awakening, my friends. So here it is. Okay. First, I'm going to start off with a theory. It's about Adam and Eve. Here's the theory. Adam and Eve could not produce before their fall. Why? Okay, let me back that up before the why. I'm going to give you a direct quote from the Bible. It's King James Version. It says, Genesis 3:16 says, I will greatly multiply your... Whoops. Let's back that up. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. I'm going to continue. Adam and Eve could not reproduce before the fall because in Genesis 3:11, Adam knew he was naked. And God questioned him. We're just going to keep that like that. I'm not going to give it verbatim, okay? But that's basically what it is. God was calling out to Adam. Adam was hiding. God said, why are you hiding? Adam said, I'm naked. And God said, how did you know you're naked? Who told you you're naked? And then the story goes on that way. Okay? That's one idea. So let me give the contradiction. The contradiction says in Genesis 3:16, King James Version, that I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In the pain you shall bring forth children, and desire shall be for your husband, and he will rule over you. I'll give you another contradiction. Isaiah 45:18 says, God himself that formed the earth and made it, he hath established it, and he created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited, and the Lord, and there is no else, none else. So here's the last contradiction. Genesis 1:28 says, God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Okay, so the theory is Adam and Eve could not reproduce before the fall, right? But here we have all these contradictions, because that isn't stated in 3:11 Genesis, when Adam knew he was naked. Let me tell you this, my friends. If you're going to have some sex, you got to be naked, right? I think so. So Adam was innocent to the fact of having sex and reproducing, because he didn't know he was naked. But once he bit that apple, he partaked in the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? Therefore opening his eyes. Now he understood he was naked. He understood the concept of what was going on in the reality, that now he was living it because he had partaken in that. Okay. People, get your swim trunks on, get your little swimmers on, because I'm diving deep. Diving deep into this truth because I did a lot of research and I found a lot of stuff. So I'm going to just babble a whole bunch of stuff on here, so then you're going to understand exactly what is happening. Okay. But after eating of the fruit of the tree of good and evil, and knew good and evil, then they, as in Adam and Eve, knew they were naked. Therefore, covering themselves and ultimately being able to reproduce after being sent from the Garden of Eden. You're probably like, what? How's this even possible? God said in the beginning, Genesis 1:28, God said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. But then here, Genesis 3:11, which is after God said this, Adam knew he was naked. So if you're going to have sex, you're going to be naked. So in Genesis 1:28, if Adam knew he was naked, he knew what his part was, which is his penis. I was going to say that. So then he would know how to reproduce. Correct? Because he wouldn't be ashamed of his tool to be fruitful and multiply. But that's not the case. So the theory is that the fall of man was the ability to reproduce, hence losing their divinity. Losing their divinity. Now you're probably like, what the hell? Okay. So I took some more notes, right? And this, we're going to talk about the tree of life. We're going to talk about the tree of good and evil. Mm-hmm. Now, if you think of the tree of life, let's just generalize that and say life. What is life? Life is life, right? But now if we're talking on a time frame, there is no set understanding of that, right? So here's the scenario, yo. So the tree of life, in theory, to me, is your divinity, is your immortality. Because why? God said you can eat anything from this garden, including from the tree of life. Do not eat from this tree of good and evil. Okay. So when they did eat from this tree of good and evil, they were punished because they broke God's commandment, right? If God is a forgiving God, then why didn't he forgive them? Right? Right. Breaking his commandments. Sinning. We all do it. But here's the story. Adam got punished to till of the land, and Eve got punished to what? I will repeat it again in Genesis 3:16, King James Version. I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children and desire your husband, and he will rule over you. Oh man, that's crazy. That's super crazy. I've done a lot of research. I couldn't find anything that said that there was animals in the Garden of Eden but the serpent. Okay? Sorry about my smoking. I just can't help it. I'm stressed from these people upstairs and this information I'm putting out. So, sorry. The tree of life represents immortality. That's why I don't believe that Adam and Eve were able to reproduce then, because they weren't in that state of mortality, which is the tree of good and evil. Because when they ate from the tree of good and evil, God said, in the beginning, if you eat from this tree, you surely shall die. And what does it mean to die? It means to be mortal. Mortality. So if you eat from this tree of life, it invigorates you. It makes you stay in your divinity. It makes you immortal. This is what I believe. This is my theory. This isn't really fact, other than the synopsis of the tree of life. The tree of good and evil. And you eating from it, you shall die. Surely you shall die. We all die, don't we? That did happen, didn't it? Right. Let's keep going. Here's where it gets strange. Now we're going to go into the history part. There was an ancient civilization called... I can't with these people upstairs. Oh my God. Stop with you bouncing around right underneath me doing this video. It's just retarded. The first civilization was called the Sumerians. And they wrote on these pieces of clay, right? They didn't really write things. They just kind of pressed these designs to make it look like writing. They said it was writing, and I guess they understood it, so they knew what it was about, right? We'll just leave it there. Now, the ancient Sumerians go back like, I think it's like 5,000 years. Fact check me. I'm not exactly sure the time frame, but it's a long time ago. And their stories of what they wrote on these clay tablets is amazing. There's this story called the Ancient Ones. And it's actually a story incorporated with the Sumerian King's List. Okay, and the Sumerian King's List is basically a hard copy proof of all the kings that ruled Samaria back in that day. And it's amazing, my friends. It's amazing how something of history for 5,000 years impressed into a clay tablet has not been told to be the truth. If that is one, the oldest civilization that we know, which is predated the Egyptians. And it's the oldest writing that we have to date. Before Jesus. Come on. It's a long time ago. But it's proof. Because it's written down in this weird form. Okay? So, there's this place called the Garden of Eden. And the Garden of Eden is between the Tigris and the Euphrates. And when I was in the army, I was privileged enough to be out there and actually cross both of those rivers. Pretty historical, pretty fantastic event, I gotta say, right? But in their story, they have a different representation of creation. And the creation is between the Anunnaki. Okay, I'm gonna get weird on you. I know it's gonna be blasphemy and whatever else you want to call it, but just sit down and shut up and listen. Okay? If it's the oldest written form of communication that we have and the first civilization, I think it's a little factual. Okay, that's why I'm incorporating this. Because I love my research, I love my knowledge, I dig into things to really get the truth, and I am here to bring you divine justice, divine truth. I'm about to bring some divine truth to these neighbors upstairs. I'm telling you, man, they are really irking me tonight. But they're not going to break my distraction. That's all they want to do. Because I'm talking to you. And I don't want this out. Nonetheless, there's a situation going on in this story that evolves two different type of Anunnaki gods. Okay? These are possible immortal people, because if you look at the Bible, people lived a long ass time. I mean, Adam lived like 930 years or something like that. 900 years. That's a long time. But these Anunnaki, according to this ancient Sumerian kings list, these kings ruled for 60,000 years, 20,000 years, 30,000 years. And how can you do that if you're not immortal? Divine. Okay. So this story that they have written, because they have a creation story, it was said that they came to planet Earth. And the Earth was different then, right? Yeah. Different species going on, like dinosaurs, things like that. When it was created over time, by the time they got here, this is what they came upon. I'm just going to keep it short like that. So nonetheless, they came here to start digging for minerals, trying to make this a habitable colony. And so it's said in their record that these people created humans. Okay, they've tried a couple different times from different species. It didn't work. But they finally got it right, because they crossbred monkeys with their own DNA. I should say their essence. And their essence is sperm. Right? And so they made this, we'll say, Homo sapien, but it wasn't quite evolved yet, because they went through different stages of doing this. This is all written. And produced, oh, they're going crazy upstairs. They're really going crazy upstairs. Anyways, they made this kind of being to help them in mining and agriculture and all these things, because this is what they taught the now evolved human, Homo sapien, whatever you want to say, to help them do the things that they didn't want to do, which was mine for gold, mine for minerals, create a civilization here, because they were put here for some kind of reason, I don't know. Right? I didn't get that far. But when they first landed, supposedly landed here, according to their little Sumerian tablets, they landed in the Middle East. They landed in a place called Eden. Now, if you look on the map, there is a legitimate place called Eden, which is between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, which is like plush, fertile land, because the Nile runs up that. Well, the Nile, that's a different story. The Nile, they did it over there. They also did it in India. I won't go there, but let's just stick to one topic at a time. So they're in Mesopotamia, ancient Mesopotamia, which is Iraq. And there's a place called Eden in Iraq, legitimately is, which is directly in between the Tigris and the Euphrates River, which is right at the point of where those rivers meet to the Persian Gulf. And they made this human, we'll say human, okay? And this human was to help them do things because they were getting tired, because back in those times, the atmosphere was different because the waters were separated from the waters. What do I mean by that? The ocean water, if you think of how much there was just as much ocean water in the atmosphere as there was, because there have been times in history that people had said there's been no sun or moon. Everything was dark and cloudy. Well, I wouldn't say dark, but just hazy. Then the sun popped out. Then the moon popped out. We'll get to the deluge later, which is the Great Flood. So when they landed in this place, they started up setting up base, right? And they started to get tired of the work they had to do. What did they do? They genetically modified what was already here, which was, Neanderthal. They turned that Neanderthal into Cro-Magnon man. Then Cro-Magnon became Homo sapien. So the first creation wasn't really with it, didn't understand simple directions. So they perfected it with their essence, which is their DNA. They crossbred everything and try to get it to be perfective so that at least they could understand direction. Psst. These people are doing everything they can to stop me from making this video, I'm telling you. It's okay, good girl. No one's there. Come over here. Anyways, where am I going with this? I'm going to the point where there's a place called Eden. And this is actually in their story of where they made this person. Okay, and so now according to these ancient Sumerian tablets, these Anunnaki, which means those that fell from the sky or those that come from the sky, were giants. If you look at some of these pictures, if you Google Anunnaki, right? If you look at Gilgamesh, we'll just say Gilgamesh. This guy was a giant because there's like some kind of stone engraving of him holding a lion underneath his arm, but in a headlock. And this thing was like this small, but he was this big, and the way he was holding it was like a little baby. If you look at some of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and all the stuff they got going on, their pictographs, whatever you want to call them, You see a giant pharaoh sitting in a huge throne. And then you see these little people like this. If this stuff's going back 5,000 years, people, I think something is about to be true with this. Because it's like written on stone. So back to Adam and Eve. So, these people, these divinities, these aliens, whatever you want to call them, the Anunnaki, it's written, they were vegetarians, okay? They didn't eat meat. So, one of the purposes from one of these people decided to make a human, and they made a garden. They made a garden. Okay, so if you think of a garden, what's a garden? Flowers and tomatoes and vegetables and all these things, right? So if they made a garden because they're vegetarians, according to this record, they're vegetarians. So they made this human, Adam, to tend the garden. Tend it. I'm not blaspheming the Bible. Don't go there. I'm incorporating some of this Bible with the history so I can get to my real point. Okay? So they're supposed to tend to the garden and keep it going so this way these beings could eat, because they couldn't eat meat. They were vegetarians. Plain and simple. So now, here comes the serpent. Tempting Eve. Okay? Tempting Eve. She ate the apple. She said, "Ooh, boy, honey, you better try this because this shit's good." And he did. And then God said, "Your ass is grass because I told you not to." And now, in the theory is that when Adam and Eve were made, they were not able to reproduce. But when they got cast out of Eden, they could reproduce. Because God punished them to that. So my point here is with them being expelled from the Garden of Eden, now they are set to do their own thing, right? Basically, in short. And they reproduced and had kids and blah, 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 and created the world, right? This is what we're told. Okay, but back to the serpent. Now, according to this ancient Sumerian story, there were two clashing divinities, two entities, two aliens, whatever you want to call them, beings, right? One was in charge, and one was sent here on earth to be in charge. According to what they wrote, these ancient Sumerians, this is the king's list. This is all this story. I have more of it. So, when the serpent came along and said, "Hey, if you eat this apple, you're gonna be like a god. You're gonna know everything. You're gonna be able to have discernment between good and evil." I mean, this wasn't really described that way, but in a general sense. And so then there goes Eve eating that stuff, right? So, once that apple was bitten, if it was an apple, some people say it's a fig, whatever, I don't even care about the semantics of it. This serpent was obviously the tempter. Now here's one I'm going to get into my main point of how we're all being tricked. I know that story was kind of crazy. It seemed a little bit weird, but let me keep going. Like I said, according to this Sumerian texts, ancient tablets that have been written down since like 5,000 years ago, says this story exactly. But in a different way than what you understand of the Bible. Now the serpent represents one divinity, okay? Because in the Bible it does say that this divinity had great knowledge, was smarter than man, and actually was standing, like, had legs and just like a human. But once this serpent gave the information to Eve to give to Adam, his punishment was he was stripped of his arms and his legs and to be crawling on his belly like a serpent. The serpent is irrelevant. We're talking about beings here. So now there's a clash of beings. One who's in charge and one who sent somebody to be in charge by here on earth. And because that one person or divinity, person or entity or alien or whatever came to this earth to colonize it, he didn't want to do the work himself. So they engineered from what was here, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, to develop this understanding human to do the needs of the will of this person that was sent here. And so now the battle is between these two. This is where we get the battle of the good and evil. It's between these two entities. And because I think that we were all immortal in the beginning, which means we had divine power, we had our spirituality, we had the sense of being like God, because God did say, I will create you in my likeness and in my image. So we are therefore like gods. So then that serpent comes in and says, nope, I'm smarter than you. I'm better than you. I was created before you. You are lesser than me. So eat from this tree the knowledge of good and evil, knowing that that will take away your immortality, your divinity, your spiritual sense of who you are really. So now, we have the clash of the titans, my friends. So now we have the battle of good and evil. Now we have spiritual warfare. Now we have good versus evil, light versus dark. So when we got cast out, because the original divinity or person or alien or whoever said, that was a no-go. You overstepped your bounds. You went a little too far, and now I'm not having it. Basically taking away the DNA. Well, not really taking it away, but foreshadowing the events of the lesser of that DNA. Meaning if they mixed half of their stuff with whatever was here, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, and mix it together to make this one person that's called the human, to do the deeds of these people, these places, these divinity, people, spirits, aliens, whatever you want to call them, but it's all written. If you want to clash that, the objective now is that this serpent, this other being, intentionally had strife against us because we were made to do things for the other divinity, person, alien, whoever. I hope you follow me so far. I know this is deep, this is crazy, it sounds weird, but tough crap. Okay? You're just gonna deal with it. Okay? Time out 1 second. Let me just get this real quick. Okay, so there are what is called, if we go further into history, there are cults and religious practices that worship the serpent. Okay? This is where it's going to get jacked. I did a video about a certain group that has about 1.7 million followers. I think y'all understand who I'm talking about. And in this video, I found pictures and video evidence and all these things of serpent worshiping. Okay? And it blew my mind. This certain leader of this organization that has 1.7 million followers, that everybody in the world follows. I think you know what I'm talking about. There are certain rooms that look like a serpent, sits on things that are like a serpent, has different iconologies and different things that are serpent. If you look at ancient Egyptians, on their damn hat they wear has the snake, the serpent on their head. Moses had a staff, the bronze serpent. Throwing serpents down at the Egyptian high priestesses, what, to battle to see who's the best high priestess? Get out of town. Serpent worshiping. So now let's just gravy train all this back to the reality of this theory, mixed with facts and obviously verbatim of some things in the Bible and things like that. So if we were originally born, Adam and Eve, if we were originally born immortal, in our divinity like God and his likeness and image, the serpent came in and said, hey, I'm jealous. I'm jealous because you're better than me and you can't be better than me. So eat this. Tricking us, tricking Adam and Eve to do that. Which, guess what? It took away our divinity. It took away our spirituality. It took away our true selves to become now mortal. And this certain group, this certain... let me check if the video's still going. Ooh, yep. This certain group is the exact same group that is causing the chaos, is given all these different conflictions in the Bible about what is the truth, because how can we even say if Adam and Eve reproduced in the Garden of Eden when in the beginning at Genesis 1:28 God says go ahead and be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, but then here in Genesis 3:11 Adam knew he was naked and God questioned him. If you were naked in the beginning, you would know that you're naked. Therefore, being able to reproduce. But it's not questioned till after that. So that just says, no. And then another contradiction is Genesis 3:16, which says, I will show you your sorrow, and through your conception in pain you shall bring forth children. You shall bring forth children. After God said, go forth and be multiplied. So this serpent cult, the certain group, are the ones that are actually the ones that are creating this conflict. Because we had all kinds of suppressing things happen in our history to hide the truth. And my friends, that truth is the hide of who we really are. We are divine beings. We are very spiritual angels, whatever you want to call us. We have that already programmed. It's in our DNA. Okay? So this is the spiritual warfare that we're going through because this cult, this serpent religion, whatever you want to call them, they're the ones trying to hold back us from knowing the truth to our immortality, which is our divinity, which is our spirituality, because that is the tree of life. So they're going to make us eat the apple so we die. And they've been doing this for so long, for so many generations, that the initial implementation of our divinity has been lessened and lessened and further gotten away from that to be almost completely dumbed down, to not know who we really are. And it makes complete sense that when people speak about the truth and try to bring these things to light, they get shut down. They get their channel shadow banned. They get people hacking their Wi-Fi's. They get people upstairs trying to bang on the floors to stop you from saying what you gotta say and bring that truth. Because they're part of that. You can call them in. Other groups, because there are other groups that also help suppress the truth on who we really are. And it's unbelievable, my friends, to sit here and think that we allow this. What do you think intuition is? It's a divine gift, my friends. There is a secretive, non-perpetuating priesthood that denies the remembrance of our original ancestry. This is why that certain group has suppressed knowledge to prevent us from knowing where we came from, who we really are. That's why they have those archives, and you can't see them. That's why they're a sovereign state, to get the Swiss Guard in there and chop your head off if you go ahead and try to step the boundaries. That's why certain individuals died and certain things happened, because they don't want that truth to come out. And so now if we go back to that serpent, that's the serpent to stop us from being immortal and made us mortal. It's unbelievable. What else do I got here written? Oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely a ton of sources from the Egyptian king list, the Tales of Adolpha, the Tales of Creation. I mean, there's so many different ancient wisdom and knowledge that has been suppressed and hidden, and you're a goofball if you think this, because we're going to heckle you until everybody thinks that you're crazy, and we're going to heckle you until you go crazy. Well, I ain't crazy, my friends. I've done a lot of research. I mean, a lot of research. If I'm going to watch a 8-hour documentary, you better go somewhere else with that. Oh, don't forget about the prayer of Joseph. There's so much research to do to figure this all out to be the truth. Okay? Let me repeat this statement. There is a secret group, not so secret, but others that might be, that secretively deny the remembrance of our original ancestry. We were created as divine beings, my friends. And because we were tempted, we got shut down. We didn't know any better. Really didn't. But now that we're in this different age and we're in this different time frame and it's enlightenment time for the truth. Well, here comes that truth. And with all the contradictions, what's in the Bibles? I mean, there's different Bibles, different religions, different all these things, and everybody could say whatever they want, but they're going to put the semantics on it. They're going to make it sound something different than it's not, because the reality is, if we go back that far, 5,000 years, how can you go further than that to disprove it? You can't. You really can't. So, our traits that have been instilled in us have been diluted through the generations. It degenerates. That is losing our immortality. That, my friends, is what we call the weakness of the flesh. Sins of the flesh. Weakness of the flesh. We are only conformed to the flesh because that was what was put on us by this other sect, group, person, cult, whatever you want to call it, that didn't like us being here for who we were to be created as we were, which were divine individuals, divine beings. What do you think intuition is? What do you think the sixth sense is? What do you think psychic ability is? What do you think telekinesis is? What do you think all those things are? It's a gift from God, my friends. It's not just something that we just stumbled upon one day. No, it is part of the traits that these other entities have. I'm not saying there ain't a God, because there is one God. But there are other ones that do the beating, just like we have other angels. There's layers and there's different levels. God does things miraculously, but he also appoints other people to do things. That's why we have people on YouTube doing messages for the good of God. God ain't gonna come down and talk to you. He's gonna put me here to do it for you, or somebody else. That's the way it works, my friends. That's what you gotta understand. That's the discernment you got to learn. And you're gonna understand the truth is the truth. And you gotta be able to fish through the darkness to see the light, to really get to who you are. And you are a divine individual. Some people have that in their blood still. And some people try to stop that, because they know that truth is coming out. Why do you think I have 25 views for something very important that I'm talking about? But some stupid I make is like 63,000. Cut it out. Stop it. So, look up some of these things. Look up the prayer of Joseph. Look up the Tales of Creation. Look up the 3 books of Enoch. Look up the Sumerian King's List. You're going to understand the truth. Because that truth is written, but it's suppressed. And then you have all these psychologists and people that go to college, and they're all like, well, I'm going to put some semantics on you and tell you that, the wording is different because, the interpretation is different from Greek to Latin to this to that. But the Hebrews weren't Jews until Moses. I mean, we could bust this out all day long. But I just wanted to kind of share that with you, because I was very shocked as well as annoyed by the blatant disregard and jealousy of who we really are. So that's how you have a division of religions, and you have a division of cultures, and you have a division of languages. Because there are some people that are on this one side that still carry these traits. And then you have the other half that are fighting this, so you don't know who you are. Hello, being right above me. Are you enjoying yourself? You probably should come down and join me. It'd be more fun that way, I think. But they want to be creepers and stay up there and stalk over me. That's fine. I'm sure they'll get on my Wi-Fi and try to stop my damn shit like they have and deleted the video and then come put it back on. Just so they can see what I'm talking about. They're already hearing it, but they want to stop it. So, take that to the bank, my friends. Do your own research. Don't be a fool. Open your mind. Expand your consciousness to understand the facts are in front of us for blatant disregard to who we really are. That's why we have Democrats and Republicans. Come on, the division is all over the place. You cannot see it. Stop it. Do your research. Understand what I'm saying. It's truth. I might have not put it out as a scholar, but you know what? I think you get the gist. So, enjoy your night, my friends. I'm going to go eat my dinner and try to take my dogs out because one's scared as shit, don't want to go outside because these people make so much noise. She's hiding under my bed. Unbelievable. Peace and prayer, my friends. We'll definitely see you again.